Okay, so before diving into the session, I just have a few instructions. This is the Bevy platform, and right now you don't have the option to unmute yourself, but you can address all your queries through the chat box. We have a general chat box where you can talk about anything. You can interact with us and everyone around. There's a Q&A section, so if you have any doubts, any questions, you can use the Q&A section. And if you don't want to post your questions in the public, you can choose to personally DM any of the hosts, and they will be more than happy to solve your queries. One more thing, while personally DMing someone, please maintain all the ethics. We don't want any violation of ethical policies because everything is monitored here. With that said, I'll begin the introduction. Am I ready to go?
Yeah, let's start.
Okay. So, welcome everyone, and welcome everyone to the first ever hands-on workshop of Introduction to Open Source and Git and GitHub. We look over the agenda for today. So the agenda for today is that we'll talk about open source contribution, why should we care about it, the importance and benefits of open source, not only to us, but to the companies as well, to the organizations, what impact it creates in the world. We look in the basics of Git and GitHub along with the hands-on open source demo. We'll also look at the career opportunities and benefits. There are a lot of benefits of contributing to open source. We'll also list to the programs where you can contribute, and you can actually earn some cool swags and make contribution to real life projects. In the end, we wrap it up with a Q&A session where we solve all your doubts, and if you are free to ask any doubts that come within the way. With that said, I'd like to hand over the stage to Ankita so that she could introduce us to the world of open source. Over to you, Ankita.
Thank you, Sayashish. So, you all must be thinking, what is open source? What is open source contribution? So, before going to open source contribution, let's talk about what open source exactly is. Well, open source is a platform where you get freely available code or a software which you can edit or modify. So, what is open source contribution? Well, let me give you this with an example which you can relate. So, as you all must be attending Google Meet lectures, so you must be knowing that your teachers are using an extension to take attendance. So, how was that extension made? Well, it is a part of open source contribution. Developers from all around the world who are interested in making an impact and contributing towards open source and towards the development of a country. So they come together, they build a project, and they try to add an extension towards it. So they developed this extension and they added it to an open source license. So through this, everyone in and around the world could use it. Apart from that, there was a very popular project on LinkedIn, which was, if you will cover your eyes, the meeting video will be turned off. If you will cover your mouth, the meeting audio will be turned off. So these are the some of the project which has been contributed to open source as an extension for Google Meet. So as you must have been seeing, what open source contribution through this example we can understand is you adding an update or a feature towards an existing software or fixing a bug or issues faced. So as an open source contributor, you must know what the platform needs, what extension you can add, and open source is very reliable because many people go there to fix bugs or issues. Well, some of the most popular open source platforms are GitHub, Bitbucket, GitLab, and Kaggle. Well, I don't know how many of you know about Kaggle, but yeah, Kaggle is an open source for data science and machine learning enthusiasts. In Kaggle, we get data sets on various topics. Through these data sets, you can learn data cleaning, data analysis, data visualization, or you can train your machine learning models. Next slide, please. So, okay, we knew about open source, but why we should care about it? Why we should contribute? Well, let me tell you, open source is a community where developers from all around the world who are a part of reputed company come together and guide you on your projects. Well, here we exchange our ideas in a community so that we can learn more about technology, stay updated with the trends, and etc. And as a student, you get a very good exposure toward the development side of the coding and production side. You get an opportunity to apply whatever you are learning on your course. And apart from that, you interact with various big speakers or people who are very good at what they or in their domain. So through open source, you get to connect with people who are very good in their domain. Apart from that, these people give you feedbacks on your development coding, your programming skills, your project, what extension you can add, what features you can add. They tell you about various open source software which helps you to improve your coding skills. And apart from that, you gain skills, exposure, and it helps you to build confidence. When you know about open source and you are a contributor towards open source projects, then when you go for your interviews, or you are very much separated from the crowd because you already know about various tools and technologies. Well, what if open source didn't exist? So yeah, open source hai, free mein hai. But what if open source didn't exist? Well, if open source didn't exist, you need to pay for whatever software you have been using. Well, all your programming language, React, JS, VS Code, Atom, they are part of open source. Open source helps developer to learn a lot about them. So with this, I would like to hand over the session to Mr. Akash Vanmali. Over to you, Akash.
Thank you. So why is open source important? So as we know, open source gives us the source code of a software, and it makes it freely available to everyone, and we can download, modify, or include it in any third-party applications, and that helps to improve the software over time. So open source projects are used by many developers, and they devote their time and skills to write, improve, and document the code for further development. And this leads to the improvement and expansion of their projects, and anyone can then access their projects and revamp the code, and this helps in building some powerful softwares. So it is important that we contribute to open source, and contributing to prominent open source projects leads to the collaboration with like-minded developers, and this helps in building new and innovative ideas, and that's how we can help in developing these prominent projects, and in turn these prominent projects will help the community to grow. So open source projects are more stable and secure because the developers are constantly working on upgrading the code, and also they are working on the bugs found by the users. So thank you, that's all from my side. So now I will hand over to Nitin.
Thank you, Akash. Now that we've discussed why open source is important, let's take a look at some popular open source software. Okay, so and the first on the list we have Linux, which is one of the most popular operating system if we talk about the server space, and it is the open source software. A fun fact: the creator of Linux, Linus Torvalds, was also the creator of Git. And second in the list is the Android operating system. So Android is an open source operating system, and this is why you see a lot of custom ROMs being made. If it was not open source, you wouldn't see any sort of custom ROM or a custom UI. If we talk about programming languages and runtimes, Python, the very popular programming language, and Node.js, the runtime for JavaScript, are both open source. You can contribute to them, and you can also look at the upcoming features that you can expect in their next versions. Popular everyday software like Videolan's VLC player, as well as Mozilla Firefox and Blender, are also open source. So you can add some feature, you can make your own version of Mozilla Firefox, for example. So that is something that you have control over and power over. And even WordPress is an open source software, but it is not necessary that you have to start with any of the software that we have discussed here. You can choose any different one, and there are tons of projects that you can find on GitHub or any other platform with open issues. You can just search for an issue, you can fix it, or you can make your own fork of it, and create your own custom software. However, being able to contribute to code bases that are used by millions of people is a great feeling, right? So for example, if you contribute to Android, it is going to affect billions of devices. So that's the power you have as an open source developer. So now that we've discussed some popular open source software, let's take a look at some developer events that are related to open source. So I'll hand over to Manish now.
Hello guys, hope you are doing well and not bored about it. Don't worry, we will have hand-on sections right after this. So as Nitin has told you about some like open source project, these are one which are for developer friendly. I mean, if you are very much as you have learning about open source, so you will always have that kind of feeling to just walk around with that project and get something out of it, right? So of course, when we talk about IT, we talk about open source, and when we talk about projects in basically IT departments, it is that swags and everything is part and parcel of this journey, right? So even though if we see the big fat names like Google, Facebook, Hacktoberfest, DigitalOcean, there are fewer examples I'm going to tell you. Like Google Summer of Code is one of it, where Google actually helps the open source industry by giving them outreach money to support their open source projects. What actually happens is Google allots some kind of funds to this open source community so that they can help out and improve their open source project. So what happens is you make a project and report to the particular project which is there in Google Summer of Code, and then they accept the project and you get paid for it. And you, of course, giving a mere example, it is almost equal to $6,000 according to US money. So it is almost more than what we pay in 4 years of engineering, which you will get in 2 months or 3 months. So that is what a big fat money which is there. So this is I told you about Google Summer of Code. Similarly, MLH is also of a fellowship, a different role, maybe a product internship or developer's role, where they teach you and help you down the line to get more into open source contributions by giving you internship of 2 months or 3 months, and they even pay you out of it. Hacktoberfest is an open source event basically by DigitalOcean. So DigitalOcean they give you swags if you do 4 mergers or that in your GitHub, and they give you swags, and they also give you their premium support of DigitalOcean Cloud and also hosting while you do that. And next is Outreach. It is also a kind of organization which helps you work on different open source projects and help you get paid in terms of internships of 2 or 3 months. Next is this Bug and Bounty one, Fuzzbuzz, which is also by Google. It is mainly for security updates for Google product, where Google allots some fixed amount of money so that they get their security patches clear every way, and they also allot some kind of money to them. It's basically open source with swags and money and connecting people by way of contributing. And basically, I will tell you, people have spent whole life in contributing these projects many a time in open source. And it's not that it will be basically something it's just for fun in college days. It can be a career making also. So as you went through a bit more, let's dive your hands directly into hands-on coding and demo session by Darshan. I guess Darsh and Amay. So I guess we will hand over to Darshan and Amay to you guys.
Thank you, Manish. So now myself, Amay Bhavsar, and Dars Jain will take you on a hands-on demonstration of Git and GitHub. But before we start with Git and GitHub and try to use it, let us try to understand what exactly is Git and GitHub. So first, let's look at the basic. What is Git? What happens is when you're working on a very large software where you can have multiple changes, then you want to keep a track of each version. You must have definitely seen multiple Android apps or softwares have version numbers such as 1.0 or 2.0. So all of these versions are managed using a version control software, and Git is exactly that. What Git allows you to do is it saves all of the changes you have made over each version. And but what is the advantage of this changes is that, let's say you have some bug or if you want to change a feature in version 5, but now you also want to go back to the third version and get some code from there, or you want to resolve a bug in version 3. So Git allows you to do that. So Git is basically like time travel for larger software projects. Using Git, the concept of saving code is using commits. Every time you commit something, it is similar to creating a new version of your code, and Git allows you to freely move between multiple commits. And as soon as you go from version 5 to, let's say, version 4, the code automatically changes to what was in the version 4. So Git is very useful when you're working on large projects. All right, but now to leverage the functionality of Git, GitHub was invented in 2008. What basically GitHub does, it takes your Git software and it uploads it on the web. What is the advantage of that? The advantage of this is that anybody, like let's say you're working with a team and your team does not live with you. So I think some years back when we used to work on software projects, what we would do is basically we would write some code, we would save it in a zip file, then we would mail the zip file to our friend. But now you don't need to do that. You just need to upload your code, or as they say, push your code to GitHub. And once that is done, your friend or your team member can directly download the code from GitHub and use it. So GitHub is known as a source control cloud control website. So it allows the people to work on the same project, and all of the source code can be seen on the web directly. But this was theory. Now let's go and actually dive into a real project that we have set up for you. Okay, but before you can start with Git and GitHub, I'm sure since we had shared a document, you must have followed these steps, but we will definitely take you again with it. So for the first requirement you need to have is Git on your system installed. Simply go to this link that is given here, or just search install Git on Google, and you can download the appropriate version for your desktop. Once that is done, you can create a free GitHub account by going to github.com/signup. The UI is pretty good, and it will be very easy to create an account. Once you have created an account and Git is installed, then we will start with configuring. So now let me give you the real demo. All right. So once you have done this, now we need a code editor to start coding, right? So I recommend that you install VS Code. VS Code is one of the best code editors, which allows you to work with Git and GitHub directly, and has lots of extensions which will help you in your project. So if you're right now following along with us, with me and Darsh on this project, please make sure that you have first Git installed, second that you have an account on GitHub, and third you have installed Visual Studio Code on your system. So if you have done that, just write okay in the installed in the chat box. All right, so now let's move ahead, and before we go with this, I would like to take you to the project that we are going to be working on. So for this special hands-on demo, the GDSE has created a website for you where you can see this website is for the hands-on practice workshop, and we also have a participants list. Right now we only added this guy called John Doe, who is a member of GDSE SLRTC. But at the end of this session, what we want is each of you should go to our GitHub repository and add yourself. So let's think first of all, how can you add yourself to this? So whenever you're on a website that you want to contribute to something, check if they have a GitHub link. So as you can see, there is a GitHub link right here. So I'm going to open this link, and this takes us to the GitHub repository. So you will look, if you just look around, this is the GitHub UI, and this is how all the folders and all the code is uploaded here. Do not get scared of the word repository. It is just a code folder and nothing else. All right. So now, since we have the code here, now to get started with this, we need to install it, or we need to download it on our system. So to do that, click on this code button, and then look at this URL, and then double click, select it, and then copy the URL. Okay, once you are done this, since you can see, okay, now there is one of the things that you cannot directly write into this. What does that mean? That means if let's just say there is Facebook has some code, then Facebook would not directly allow you, right? They do not want you to directly modify their code. So that's why what you can do is you can simply go to fork. So this would allow you to fork this repository. As you can see, it says fork your own copy of GDSE SLRTC GitHub hands-on on your account. So make sure you're logged into your GitHub account. Then go on to this link and click on the fork button. Then if you have multiple organizations, then select your account. and it will create a copy of it or a fork of it. So once that is done, you should be on the screen, and now you should see your username here alongside the same name as the repository. Now this repository is completely yours. You can make any changes to it. As we said, open source allows anyone to modify the code as much you want. So now click on this code button and double click on this. Copy this and make sure now you have open VS Code. All right. So once we are in VS Code, press the control and the backtick button. I'll just show you. Press this control plus backtick. You should find it near the escape button, or else you can go to terminal and you can click on new terminal. So this should open up a let's go and do that ahead. So if you are on Windows, it should open up a PowerShell terminal. But since we are working with Git, and to make it easier, we need to use a bash terminal. So find this plus button and find this arrow. Then you can go and you can see command prompt, JavaScript and Git bash. This might be slightly different, but if you have installed Git on your system, then you should definitely find the Git bash option. And yes, if anyone has any doubts, feel free to put it in the chat box so that we can directly resolve them as we are doing it in real time. All right. So now let us look how can we copy this whole repository to my VS Code setup. All right. So that I can make edits on my code editor. So first of all, write git and press enter. You should be received with such a screen which will tell you everything about all the multiple commands that Git allows you to run. If you look at the first command, it is known as clone, which means clone a repository into a new directory. And this is exactly what we want. We want to create a clone of our repository on our system. So let's go ahead and write git clone. And then since you had copied the URL from this code button, go ahead and paste it. Then press enter and it will say that it's cloning into this. Now we need to change directory onto our GitHub hands-on this GitHub hands-on folder. So if you are in, make sure all of these commands that I'm running like ls, this would only run on a bash terminal. So if you're getting any error, make sure you have selected bash and then only continue with the commands. So now when I do ls, this will list, this is a Linux command which will list all the directories, and you can see that right here we have the GitHub hands-on directory. So now we want to change our current directory to GitHub hands-on. So write cd GitHub hands-on, and now when you write ls again, you can see all of the files that are in the GitHub hands-on repository. So let's wait for a moment to make sure that all of you have reached this stage. All right. So now since we are in this repository, first of all, go and open up the code. Click on open folder and find the folder GitHub hands-on. You might have to change the files according to where you clone the folder. Then select folder. And then you should be able to see all the files here and all the code for the website that we have shown. So once this is done, again I want to, if I want to open up terminal, I can simply go to terminal, new terminal. And since it is a PowerShell, but I need a bash terminal. So click on this drop down button, click on git bash, and you should be received with this terminal, and it should be in the GitHub hands-on directory. All right. So now once you have reached this stage, So now I want to look at this project on my computer, right? For example, this is the website, but it is currently on github.io. But what if I want to run it on localhost, or what if I want to run it only on my computer? So to do that, first we need a server. How do we install a server? This is where VS Code comes very handy. Simply go to extensions, and in the extensions, search for live server. And look at the first option by Ritvik Day. So install this live server extension. All right, so once the extension is installed, you should be able to see this button here. So what this says is, it says to go live, and then once you click on it, it would start a server. Now, since Windows has a firewall, it might give you such messages based upon it. So you can simply allow access, and then you can see this exact same website that was there on github.io has been displayed on your system. So this IP address you can see, which is 127.0.0, this is only visible on your system. If you also want, then you can change it to localhost. And what is this 5500? So that is a random port decided by this extension. Okay, you do not need to worry about it. So now let us say I want to add myself to this list. So what I would do is, I would go here and I would first of all have a look around, like how is this project organized. For example, let me go into this file and look around. So I can see most of the time this would be given directly on the website, like how can you do it. But I can see that in the code, we are fetching from this file participants.json. For example, first of all, think about it. How did this John Doe name came here? Okay, go into the code and try to find how is that handled. Most of the time it would happen that there are most of the open source repositories have thousands and thousands of lines of code, but you do not need to understand everything. You only need to understand a single part where you want to make the changes. For example, I want to make changes at this card. I want to add a card of my name. So I see that there is a file called participants.json. So I'm going to open it, and here I can see that there is an JSON object. What is a JSON? It is basically a way to write data that is organized into like participants and multiple arrays. As we have in different languages, this is how you can organize it. So now I want to add my own name into this. So what I would simply do, first of all, is I can simply do this, or I can simply copy the previous existing code as well. So go ahead and do this, copy it, and make sure you put a comma here so that it knows that these are two different objects. So if I go ahead and save it, now what would happen, since we are running live server, we do not need to go and refresh. And now you can see, wow, there is another card which also has this. So now let me, but I do not want it to be John Doe. I want it to be my name. So go ahead and change this name directly. I'll just change it to my name, Amay Bhausar, and then a member of GDSC facilities. That is correct. And let us say I wanted to add an image. So what image should I add? I'll just add this image for now. You can add your own image if you want. So I'll paste this and I'll save this. And if we go here, now you can see a new card has been added, which says Amay Bhausar, who is a member of GDSC SLRTC. And based on the image, it has automatically scaled it. So you do not need to worry about most of that part, at least for our repository. So when you're contributing, just make sure that first you have run the live server. Then second, make sure you're on this page, that is 127. And then once that is done, then open the participants.json file, and then add your own name, add an image URL, and then add a about yourself. Okay. All right. Now, once this is done, now what I want to make is I want to push these changes onto my GitHub. So to push these changes onto my GitHub, I would go here, and now next up, again go back into the terminal and write git status. So once you do get status, now get status, what it basically does, that since get is tracking all the changes across all your files, it will show you what file has changed. And since you can see that I have changed the data/participants.json file, it shows this file in the red color that this file was changed. Now once that is done, write this command called git add. Now write this command called now we will start with the commands. So Darsh will be explaining you what all of these commands mean. So Darsh, you can go ahead and explain what git add dot means. All right, so since now I can again do git status to check what happened. So now you can see that it shows that all of these files have been staged, and the files that have been staged are now seen in green color as opposed to the red color that was shown earlier. So now once that is done, now I want to tell Git that yes, I am done with the changes, and please save these changes onto the Git as a new version, or that is as a new commit. So what I would write is I would write git commit and then M. Now what basically M does is, let's say you have hundreds of versions and you want to know what each version change was made. For example, if I changed an image or if I fixed some bug, then I should have some text or some description. So -M would you allow you to put a message. So that's what message do you think we should add for this? Perfect. So now I have written the commit message, which is added name Amay Bhausar. And then if I press enter, it gives me an error. Okay, so what is this error? It says identity unknown. And this will definitely happen when you do this for the first time. Since you're trying to commit this, Git wants to know who you are. And for each commit, Git try to saves an email and your name with the commit, so that you can always look who made this change, right? So if somebody has crashed a bug or created a bug, you can always go and tell that person that you were responsible for it. So go ahead, and now you need to tell Git who you are, right? So you can see this command which says git config global user email. Just go ahead and write the same thing. Okay. Yes, exactly. Now you can see that I have used the global command. What this would do is it would not only save for this one repository, but for any Git project you do across your computer, it would make sure that it remembers your email and your name. So I will go ahead and use the email. Now I need to, since I'm also going to post this on my GitHub, I will use exactly the same mail that I'm using for GitHub. So let me go ahead and type that. So that is done. Now next I need to set a name. I need to tell Git what is my name. So I'll go ahead and write again the same command. Git is very easy because it allows you to see this. It tells you all the commands that it should run. So now once that is done, now you can always go and write git config. You can go and check if it was correct. let's say you made some error, right? Then you can again change it. There is no such thing that you can only change once. You can confirm like this that it is correct. So now once that is done, now I will again go back to the stage where we were like we were at git status and we saw now we need to commit the state, commit this change. So again I will write git commit -m, which is for message, and then double inverted comma I will write added name on my browser. Then if I press enter, it tells me that okay, a new commit has been made. One file was changed. There were 5 insertions. This 5 insertions are this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines were added. So Git tells you everything in detail. Okay. Now there is another command called get log. What this would do, this would allow you to go ahead and look at all the versions. Since I was telling you each commit is a version and everything has a name and everything has some information. So now you can go ahead and look at, there are so many commits, and then you can see that the first commit, the commits are ordered by the latest commit to the older commits. You can see the first commit is the one we did right now. That is, I added my name. Before this, Darsh had done a commit which was he added the John Doe, and before that, the first commit was initial code. All right. So that is how you can see all the versions and all the changes that have been made over this repository. But right now, still, if I go on my GitHub and I refresh it, nothing happens. That's because all the code is still on my local. See, you can still see the last commit was 2 hours ago by Darshan. But I can see here that the latest commit is this. How do I upload this, or how do I deploy, or how do I show all the changes I have made on my VS Code editor on my laptop to the GitHub? So to do that, right, we write the command git push. Okay, just a second. So if you get this, for example, you can see that it says that this laptop belongs to Roshan Rafael. That's why the permission was denied. Okay, so now how do we resolve this? So to do that, you can go and write, we have added the same credential helper which is into Git. So what basically Git does, Git allows you to set the credentials according to each of the GitHub account. Okay, so just go ahead and write the same command here. Okay, once that is done, and then just a second. Okay, guys, sorry about that disturbance. It was a basic issue because I'm using my friend's laptop. So this might happen that you have borrowed a laptop and you're working on somebody else's system. So to resolve that, sometimes what basically Git does is, if you are on a completely brand new and you've never installed Git before, then you can directly go ahead with this command or the config command that we saw earlier. But let's say you are on a friend's laptop and you want to change the credentials, then go to your search menu on Windows and go into the control panel Once you're into the control panel, select view by category and then go into user accounts. Once you're into user account, go into the credential manager and then click on Windows credential. Then you should find this GitHub, and as you can see the username is different than my GitHub. Then I will just simply go and remove this. And now since that is removed, now let's try to do git push again. So now this is the screen that comes up. It asks for authentication with GitHub. So this is very simple. Since Git and GitHub are very much integrated, GitHub has added all of these settings so that it makes it easier for you to authenticate. So now, since I told you that we are uploading it onto a personal repository, we have the right access, but Git does not know that, right? So now you need to go ahead and authenticate. Click on sign in with your browser. And this should open up a tab, and it will be automatically authenticated if you're already logged into GitHub. So now once we are done with that, you can go ahead and look at this. You can do git push. Just a moment. This is why hands-on demos are always very risky. All right, guys. So there was a very slight issue that my Git account is connected to a private email address, which is why I cannot. And since you saw that I had used my own personal email address while configuring, Git did not allow that. So this is why GitHub also respects your privacy, which is why you can also, if you do not want your email to get out, then you can use this setting. Which I had currently on. You can see as it says, you can make your email public or disable. So I have went to GitHub and changed my email. And now we should be able to do git push. And yes, this is exactly you should get. It says that we have written all the objects onto this repository which we had cloned from. All right, so once you have made these changes, again, go back onto your GitHub. That is, make sure you're on the GitHub hands-on at your username and not at GDSC. Go and refresh the page. And here you can see the changes that I have made. You can see that I have added my name. But now this change is only on my repository. If I go back to the GDSC repository where I want all the changes to be, still it is only showing the last commit was by Darsh Jain. So what we would do is go to this repository. Wait. Okay, so now you can, all right. So now GitHub has lots of accessories for you so that you can easily create pull request. Now, what is a pull request is, you can, if I go here, I can see there are 3 commits. The last commit was by me, I added my name, but the last commit on GDSC was different by Darsh Jain. Now, if I want to copy all my changes to the GDSC repository, so I need to go ahead and create a pull request. So GitHub will give, as soon as you push your code, GitHub will give you this message that this branch is 1 commit ahead of GDSC SLRTC main branch. All right, so it is telling you that since this one is 1 commit behind, go and click on contribute and click on open pull request. Okay, so now you should be greeted with this page, and this will tell you what are the code differences between, and then you can see now we are at the GDSC page, and here you can see that first of all, it shows you a screen which is comparing changes. So in comparing changes, you can see that we are comparing between my repository's main branch to the GDSC main branch. All right. So now Darsh would explain from here what happens in a pull request, and once we create, how does it look from his side. All right. So I will go ahead and create a pull request and then ask Darsh to explain further. So that's it. Now I would go ahead and create a pull request, and then okay. So now, first of all, I would request Darshan. So now Darshan, I have asked for a review. So as Darshan said that if there are multiple members and since you do not belong to this organization, you can ask the organization owners or the contributors of this repository to please review the changes that you have made. So now I have asked Darshan to review, and now Darshan is reviewing it on his system, and then we can make sure we can wait for some time so that once Darshan looks around and feels that this code is correct and this can be added, then he can go ahead and merge this. So Darsh, you can take it from there. Okay, so let me tell you what would have happened since now Darsh is unable to. If you can ask any reviewer for the review, once the review has been done, then you would see changes have been approved or the review has been approved button after this button. And now since I also belong to this repository, I can directly add. But when all of you participants would be creating pull requests and sending this, you would not get this merge pull request button. It would only be available to the contributors or the creators of this repository. So now, just for the demo purpose, I would go ahead and click on merge pull request, and I would confirm my merge. All right, so now let us go back to the GitHub hands-on. And now you can see the changes I had on my own repository are also reflected here. And you can see that GitHub shows all these commits here, and you can see that it says added name Amay Bhausar. But let's go back to the official website that we have, and then let's go ahead and refresh it. And you can see now me and my cat photo is also on the official website. So that is about this. So now I request that all of you go ahead to this link, which we will drop in the chat box and in the group, and then go ahead and fork this repository. And once you have done that, download on the create it on the VS Code and make all the changes. If you want, simply copy this and add your name, add a URL to the image, and add a simple one line about yourself, and push the code. And if you have any doubts or any, now we would take them. So that's it. This is the end of the GitHub hands-on session. Please let us know if you have any doubts. All right, so some of the people are getting commit conflicts. So what do we need to do is, I'll just show you again. Okay, so what is this commit conflicts? And this might happen that, let's say you make a change today, but it does not get merged and the original repository gets changed. Okay, so now Git has two different files and it is confused that which one should it continue with, right? So as you can see that it might have happened that I copied, when I created a fork of this repository, the only participant was John Doe. All right, and then I added my name and merged the pull request. But when you also created it, this object that is my name, my browser did not exist. So now Git is confused that from line 8 to 12, what should come there, right? Should it be this or should it be this another one? So what can you do is, you can simply go to the fork that you had created. So you can go to this, and then on your repository, you should find a fetch upstream button. All right. When you do a fetch upstream button, what this would do, since you can see that you might go to your own fork and refresh the page, and you should be able to see a message like this. It might be 1 or 2 commits behind the GDSC SRTCL main. So what you need to do is,
Hello, Amit.
Yeah, Sai.
Sorry to interrupt, but your screen is not visible.
Yeah, it's visible. Sorry about that. I'll just show you once again. So since we have okay, now since if you go to the main repository of JDSC, you can see there are 4 commits, right? But if I go to my own personal repository and I can click on this, I can see there are 3 commits, right? So now what we need to do is we need to go to our own repository and update it with the new changes that were made on the original repository. So go to your fork that you had created of the JDSC. For example, for me, it is Amar Bhavsar 24/GitHub hands-on. Find this button called fetch upstream. All right. So once that is done, you can see it says fetch and merge one upstream commit from JDSC SRTC. Click on fetch and merge. And what that would do, you can see now it created a new commit that copied the changes that we had on JDSC SRTC. And then it should give the message that this branch is even with JDSC SLRTC. All right. All right. So once it is, only when both the repositories are even, only then you can make a pull request, or only then the pull request can be merged. But let us say if you want, then you can go ahead and make a pull request. All right. Are you getting conflicts when you're making this pull request, or are you getting it on the command prompt? Okay, when you're making the pull request, right? So don't worry about that. Just go ahead and create the pull request, and then from there we can guide you. So it would also be learning experience for you as well. Okay, so now we would be waiting for some pull request if you want. Okay, so we already have one pull request by Dipanshu Yadav. All right, so this is a very good example. So now if I go to files change, and I can see after John Doe, it is directly Dipanshu Yadav. But we know that since I had already made a change and added my name here, now Get is confused. Should it add Dipanshu Yadav or should it add Amay Bhavsar? So go ahead and create the pull request. It will show that there are conflicts, but then we will tell you how to resolve it. Okay, or else you can also resolve it by going ahead and clicking on this resolve conflicts button. Okay, so now, as I said, now Get is confused between different. So you can look at this, that it shows that from this first part, it shows the new changes that have to be made, right? These are the changes on Dipanshu Yadav's repository. And after that, you can see from this line to this line, it shows the changes that I have made. Okay, these are the one that is on GDSE repository. So now what you can do is simply, you can directly edit this file. Okay, like now what I want to do, I also want Dipanshu Yadav's name and I also want my own name, right? So I will go ahead and edit this file. Since you have created a pull request, you also can go ahead and do this. Okay, so please make the pull request and so that we can directly review them right now. And then once this is done, click on mark as resolved and click on commit much. And once that is done, all right, so now once that is done, if you have successfully resolved all the commits, it should give this message: this branch has no conflict with the base branch. The base branch is the one that in the which you're trying to upload or copy the changes to, and the remote or the fork branch is the one that belongs to yourself. All right, so now we would go ahead and merge this pull request for Dipanshu Yadav, and I would confirm the merge. And once that is done, we can again go back to code and we can look, okay, now there is another pull request. And currently this yellow dots tells me that GitHub is currently building the web page. And in some time, Dipanshu Yadav's photo should be visible on this web page. So GitHub has something called as GitHub pages, which you can also learn. And if you want, you can Google about it. What it basically does, if you have any HTML project on your GitHub repository, you can directly host it. Like you do not need to buy hosting or anything. You can directly host it on GitHub, which would give you a github.io web page. So we would still wait until and unless this becomes a tick mark. And you can see now it has become a tick mark, which means the build was completed. That is, GitHub pages has told us that we can now go ahead and look at the web page. So let's go ahead and look at the web page. This might take some time. All right, so still GitHub pages has not changed the file. So we need to wait a bit more. Until then, we can go and review other pull requests as well. Okay, so another pull request was created by Yash. You don't need to close it. If you want, then you can just make the changes and go for it. Okay. If there are any conflicts, then you would also learn how to resolve these conflicts. Darsh, is there some issue that his name didn't show? Okay. Yeah, I think it is taking a bit more time. That's the issue. Okay, so now Yash has also added his name. So all of you can go ahead and follow the changes. And if you have any doubts, then tell us. So Yash, you also have some branch conflicts. So you can simply go into resolve conflicts and you can see all the changes that are currently there. Please make sure you do not delete anyone else's name and just copy your part and put it at the end of it. Okay. For example, I'll show you what you need to do. Okay, so now you can see that it shows Dipanshu Yadav and Amay Bhavsar. So just cut your information from this line and put it at the end of it. Okay, and then make sure that all the brackets and all the inverted commas and semicolons are perfect. And once that is done, we will merge it. All right. Okay, so one of the issues might be this. So as you can see, I just made a mistake that in the JSON file on this line, I did not correctly write JSON. Now JSON is very strict about how you should write it, all right? So for example, if I go here and what's wrong? Dash, do you see any mistake in the JSON? Okay, so one of the, okay, I found it, okay. So in JSON, actually, you cannot add a comma at the last, and the Dipanshu Yadav had added a comma. So I can go and directly edit this file. Or if I want, I can also show you how can you update your own branch and how can you edit it on VS Code. So let's go and do that instead. Okay, so now I want to make some changes in the JSON because that was wrong. Okay, so now it might happen that many people have contributed and your repository is behind, right? When you created a fork, after that maybe 2 or 3 commits have been done. So you can see it has happened here for myself as well. I will go and fetch and merge this. And then once that is done, now I want to make the changes, right? So go back to VS Code, okay? Go back to VS Code. And now what I need to tell, I need to command Git that I need to tell Git that go onto my own repository, look at all the new changes that are available on GitHub, but not on my personal system. So I need to go and tell Git that Git please pull all these changes. Okay. So for the command for that is Git pull. And when I write that command, it will tell me that all the new changes that have been made. And as I can see, the name Dipanshu Yadav pops up here, right? And VS Code is, since it's such a good editor, it also shows me where the error is exactly. And it tells me that there's an extra comma here, so I can delete it, I can save it, and then I can again follow the same steps that we followed again. We can again do get status to know which file was changed. Okay, once that is done, we can again just add dot. What dot does is adds all the files that were changed, or if I want, I can simply add only this one file. I can also write it like that. I can again do get status to make sure that those changes have been added to the staging area, as the chat said, and then we'll comment this that fixed JSON bug. Okay, so when you're always writing open source commit messages, make sure they're descriptive but not too very long. Okay, they should tell exactly in less than 1 sentence what exact change you made. All right, so I would commit this and I would now push this. Okay, so now since I have pushed it onto my own repository that is at my own username, now I can see that my my branch or my amebasa/24 is one commit ahead of GDSC. So I would again click on contribute and open another pull request. All right, so now once that is done, the procedure is very similar. I would just write this that and the small description. Okay. And then I would go ahead and create a pull request. Okay, so Darsh, can you, I'll just merge it again. And I can go ahead and merge it now. All right, so now that is done. I can see some of you are also making pull request. For example, Yash has also made a pull request. But now since we just made a changes, then Yash again has conflicts. So Yash, you can just make sure that all the names and all the commas are correct. Okay. And then since it has again completed the build, we can go on to GitHub. Okay, and this might take some time. Until then, if you have any doubts, please put them in the chat box.
Amay, if you can once just summarize all the steps so that it would be easy for everyone, like a revision.
All right, sure. Okay, so first of all, make sure you have installed Git. You have made an account on GitHub, and then you have installed VS Code. Once that is done, go to this repository, which is gdsc/srtc/GitHub hands-on. Then click on this fork button. As you can see, 14 people have already forked this repository. Click on this fork button and create a, and what this would do is this will create a copy on your own personal account. Okay, as you can see, I already have a copy on my own account. Go to that, go to your own personal repository, and then click on this code button. This code button will give you the URL for this website. If you want, then you can also simply copy this URL, github.com/your username/GitHub hands-on. Once that is done, go into VS Code, all right, and click on terminal and new terminal. Okay, once you're in new terminal, you if you're on Windows, you might see PowerShell. Then go ahead and click on this button and look at Git Bash. Once you're in Git Bash, use this command called git clone. What git clone will do, it will copy all the files from GitHub directly to a system, and then copy the just a second. For example, I will go ahead and copy this and then write git clone and then paste the URL here. Okay, now since I've already done that, I will not go again, but this is what I need to do. And make sure that you're cloning the repository at your own personal URL, such as I have AmayBhasar24. Make sure you're cloning the repository that is on your username. Once that is done, go into File and Open Folder and open this. Just a second. Go into File, click on Open Folder, and open the GitHub hands-on. You should see all the code. Okay. Now open the participant.json file. You should be able to see multiple names of people that have added their names. Then go ahead here, add a comma. On the next line, add 2 curly braces, and then simply, as the previous names, simply go ahead and write your name, image URL, and about. Once that is done, so I'll just undo this. Once that is done, go into the terminal again, write get status. It should, right now I have not changed any file. It should show you that you have changed the participant.json file, and that should be the only file you have changed. All right, then go ahead and write get add dot, and then get add dot would add all your files it would tell get that you want to save all the changes, and then write get commit -m, and then in the message just write like you have added your name, and then just put your name, like whatever your name is. So just add your name as the commit so that we can know that what exact change you have made. Once you have done that, do git push. And when you're doing git push, if you're doing it for the first time, you might get an error that it is not able to authenticate. Okay, so if you get that, then just do git config global user.email, right? And then add your mail, but like whatever your mail. For example, I'll just add example at the rate. Example, let's say whatever your mail is, just add it here, and then that way you can tell Git what your email is. And similarly, you also need to do it for your name. Okay, so like just add your name here. All right, once that is done, I'll go ahead and do git push. And once you do git push, you should be able to see a change here. All right, once you see a change here, then click on contribute, and right now it does not show a new commit, but on your system you should be able to see new commits. And if your system is behind, then you can also click on fetch upstream and fetch your own personal repository with the fork. Once you have created a pull request, it will show you the text box, how can you create a pull request, and your pull request should be visible under this section. All right. So once your pull request is created, then we, Darsh, me, and all the maintainers of GDSC, we would take a look at your code, and if we think it is fine, then we would merge it. And that is it. That is how you can contribute. And if you want, then that is how you can create your first pull request. So, all right. So now, as you can see, Dipanshu Yadav's name has popped up, and since he did not add any about, it only shows undefined. Okay, so these are small bugs. If you want, I ask all of you, if you want, like what can be changed instead of undefined, if you know, then you can also create a pull request for that. So that is in the GitHub hands-on. Please, if you have any doubts, please put them in the chat box.
Okay, everyone, if you have any doubts, please post it in the chat section. And if you don't have any doubts, then thank you for joining in. And you will shortly get an email with a feedback form. Please be sure to fill it so that we know what more do you want and if we lacked anywhere. Also, if you have any doubts, please connect with us and we'll be sure to resolve all your queries. Thank you so much for joining in.